much. I appreciate all of my subscribers. Seriously, I do appreciate your support towards my channel. If you are new to my channel, welcome, and do not hesitate to hit on the like button. Hit on the subscribe button. That is the very first important one. Hit on the subscribe button and then the notification bell just beside to get an update whenever I upload a new video. So that's just the essence. And then like this video, share my video, and then just share my video and then like my video just to support my channel, yeah, if you find them helpful. So today I'm actually going to be teaching you how to actually draft a front slit tail gown. So you could see the picture up there, or I could still call it a tail front slit gown. So this is like a party gown. You could use it for a wedding, you could use it like a dinner. Yeah, I think I should even name it a dinner dress. Yeah, that is it's actually a dinner gown. You could use for a wedding. So that's just what I'm basically going to be teaching you how to draft today. And with this pattern, I'm going to make it so detailed that you will be able to make your own pattern and then cut out your clothes and then make them. So without much talk, so I'm just going to get straight to the business of the day. So I'll just keep my paper on the side and then give my hair a good pack. So guys, I have my pattern paper laid out here. I actually have two pattern papers here, and then with this I'm going to be showing you how to draft the upper part of the dress. So because it's actually divided into two, it's not a straight cut, it have a up bodice and then the down part of the silhouette to form the full silhouette. So that's just what I'm basically going to be doing now. So the upper part of this, I have my pattern paper laid out, and then the length of the pattern paper that I have here is actually 17 inches, and then half an inch on the down part to see for the seam allowance, and then half an inch on top for the shoulder allowance. So and then I have the first line I have here is my shoulder line, that is this up point, and then my bust point line, that's the bust point, and then my under bust line, and then my waist line. So the waistline is actually this point, and then this is the under bust line, and then this is the bust line. So for beginners that really don't know all this bust, that, so that's just the essence of the line. So I'm just going to keep the back and pattern on the side and then work with this front one to make it easier for you to understand. For this kind of gown, you could decide to do it in two ways. You could decide to do a regular waist that's flat, as in without a bustier. You could decide to do that, it will still work out fine. You could decide to make it a bustier. So for this, I'm not going to be teaching you I'm not going to be making a bustier. I'm going to be making it flat with a princess dart, but it's not a princess dart that has a bustier. So I'll show you how to do that. You could decide to make use of a bustier, like I said. So this is like a bustier pattern that you could decide to make use of for this project. Also, you could decide to make use of it, something like this, that's a bustier. It will still work out fine. So I'm just going to keep this on the side and then do a princess dart for you that is not a bustier. So the first thing to do in making this dress, the top point, I'm just going to measure out my shoulder, which is 14 inches. You divide 14 into 2, you have 7 inches. So this is 7 inches, and then I'll add 2 inches allowance to it. So this is 2 inches. So from this point, I'll measure 7 inches down. The 7 inches, the essence of the 7 inches is for my armhole line. So I'm just going to rule it like this, and then I'll connect it. So I'm just going to come like this. And then the next thing I'll do, I'll just make my curve out my armhole from this point, and then from this point I'll come in by half an inch, and then I'll just come like this. So I'll just use my ruler, my curve rather, to just curve it out. So the next thing I'll do now, from my bust and line measurement, I'll measure 6 inches. This measurement, they are subject to change, so it depends on your chest line. You could actually measure that. So this is 6 inches, which is for 12 inches. You could see where my armhole is starting from for this dress, so you could measure. So what I actually have here is 14 inches, so you could use for like this you could use 7 inches. So but for this I'll use 6 inches. So this is like my 6 inches point, and then I'll be reducing it by by half an inch. So I'll come to the next, which is on the under bust line. I'll reduce it by 1 inch, or you could do 1 or half an inch, so it will still work out fine. So if you don't want to do this, you could just do your regular waist dart, it will still work. So the next thing I'll do now, measure my armhole and then take the center of it. So I have 9 inches, so I'll measure 4.5 inches to this point. So this is like my 4.5 inches. I'm just going to roll it out so you understand, so you see it clearly. So this is like my 4.5 inches, which is the center. From this side, I'll take half an inch from this point, and then take another half an inch to this left side. So now I'll come to this point now. I'm just going to blend it like this. From this point, I'm just going to do this, and then I'll come to this other point and do this. So you could see I have a space here, so this is what I'll be cutting out for my dart. But if it's from bust 40, you could do 1 so it will still be okay. Then from this point, I'm just going to use dotted lines and then bring it down to this point. I'll bring it down to this point. So from this point now, from this down point now, I'll take 1 inch to this right hand side, and then I'll take ½ inch to this side. So I'm just going to still use the dotted line just to make it easy for you to understand. So I'm just coming like this now. This is like another line straight to this point, and then this one continues since it's on the same straight line, and then when it comes to this point, so it comes like this. So it's just like a bustier, but yet it's still not a bustier. So I'll use my curve now to just like join my lines together. So you can see what I have. So the rest part, I'm just going to use my ruler, and then for the straight one in the middle, it's just the same regular bustier way. So this is what I have. I'm just going to blend it for you to see it properly. So this is this, and then this comes, everything it ends here. So this removes the dart from the armhole point, and then this remains, and then comes from this point. This is like straight, and then when it gets to this under bust, so this removes another inch from this point. So but this still remains. So this center part is not, we are not removing anything. So you remove from the armhole and then from the waistline point. So that's just basically the essence of this dart. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'll just take the back piece and then place them together, because I want to cut them out together. So you leave your 2-inch allowance for that's for the zipper point. So I'm just going to tape it down so it doesn't move. So the next thing I'm going to do now, you extend this by 2 inch so it doesn't shorten, so it's not truncated. So 2 inch. So I'm just going to, so I'm going to cut it out now. Before I cut it out, I'll just take my shoulder slant. So for the shoulder slant, I'll come down by 1 inch here, and then I'll slant the shoulder. So this is my shoulder slant. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'll take my full body measurement. So my bust measurement is actually 36 inches. When you divide into 4, you have 9 inches. So I'm just going to take my tape like this and place it here. This is 9 inch. So remember this inch that is here, which is like ½ inch. So I'll add it back into it. So this is like 9.5. That's plus this ½ inch here in this middle that I'm going to cut out. This is 9.5. And then I'll add like 2.5 to 3 inches allowance. So this is it. And then for the under bust line, nothing is coming out from it, so I have 28 inches. When you divide into 4, you have 7 inches. So this is like my 7 inches, and then I'll add my allowance to it. And then for the down part, remember this 1 inch and this 1 inch, we're going to add it to the waistline, which is 30, which is 7.5, and then plus 2 inches, that is 9.5, and then my allowance. So I'm just going to connect all of my lines together, and then like this. So I'll cut the back and the front together, but that's cutting the side and the top, then but the dark part is going to be separate. I'm going to cut it like this. And then, sorry, I forgot to draw the new armhole. So this is like my new armhole. So once you extend, you now draw a new armhole. So this is like my new armhole now, so that will not truncate, it won't truncate. So I'm just going to cut it out, and then I'll just separate the back. So I'll keep the back body side and then cut out this point. I'm just going to cut like this. So you could see this is your princess dart, but that does not have a bust here. So this is just the essence of this. So this is your princess dart without a bust here. So the next thing I'm going to do now, cut the neckline for this gown that I'm making. So I'll cut the neckline. So I'm just going to keep this on the side, and then take the back piece and the front piece together, and then measure out the neckline. So for the neckline, for the top neckline, to see how trickish the neckline is, so I'm going to be using 3 inches, 3.5 inches, that's the width. And then you could see the top is like a double neck. So I'll come down by 2 inches. So this is like 2 inches. So I'm just going to make a curve here now. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'll cut out the back and the front neckline together before I'll now cut out the front part. That's the drop on the front, before I'll cut it out. So I'm just going to keep the back piece out. And then for the front one, so if you actually want this depth of to show this kind of depth, that's for the cleavage point, all you have to do, you measure how deep you actually want it to show. You measure how deep. So for the sake of this illustration, I'm just going to be making use of 5 inches. That's from the shoulder line. Sorry, from the shoulder line, I'm going to be making use of 5.5 inches. So I'll use 5.5 inches from the shoulder line. So the next thing I'm going to do now is just like a keyhole, but a wider keyhole. So I'll use 1 inch. So this is like 1 inch, or you could use half an inch. In order to be safe, you could use half an inch. So this is like the half an inch. So the next thing I'm just going to do now, I'm just going to cut it out like this. So if you want it deeper, you could just decide to extend it so to like 6 inches. So let me just use 6 inches in order for it to be very clear. So this is it, and then you cut out. So this is the front piece, and then this is the back piece. For the back piece, you could just decide to do your regular waist dart. I'm not going to be going into that now. So the next thing I'm going to do now, cut out the skirt part of this gown, of this front slit gown. Cut it out, then we'll do the slit. So I'm just going to keep this on the side like this because I'm going to be using it. So I'll just fold it out like this. So this is the upper part of the bodice, and then this is I have 2 paper already marked out here. This is for the front piece, and then this is for the back. I have some couple of lines, so I'll keep the back piece on the side. I have some couple of lines which I'm just going to explain to you, and I'll be explaining with this up part. So you remember the measurement that I used before, that's the length was 16 inches plus this half an inch. So that's but for your regular waist in making gowns like this, if you measure 16 inches, you just have to pay attention to what I'm about to do. If you measure your regular waist and your regular measurement, this is like 16 inches. So you could see 16 inches is not really my waist and measurement, and making such gowns you really need the measurement of this point. So you now check how much inches you have from this point to this point, which is your regular, your real actual waist measurement. So I'm just going to check. So for this I have 1, 2, 3 inches. So that 3 inches is very crucial in this in making such gowns. So you are going to be adding it. So you remember initially this was my waist measurement before. This was my waist measurement before, but now I'm going to be having a new waistline. So that was why I said I'm going to be explaining it. So this is like this ½ inch, so which is I'm still going to have this allowance line. That is what you use to connect this point to this point, and then from this point to this point. So this is now your new waist and measurement. So this is like the new waist measurement. That's from this point, which is your 16. I just want you to understand. That's why I'm explaining it so much. So from your 16 inches point, you can't actually cut it from, you can't actually start making your skirt and without getting the measurement of this your waist part, which is like the tummy area. So you actually need it. So from this point to this point, you have 3 inches. So for some people it could be 4 inches. So you put it into consideration before you start measuring out the hip part. So this is the hip part, and how do you get it? Let me just explain it. So you see from your shoulder line, so you see what we now have. Now I now have like 20 inches here. I have 20 inches. So when you actually measure now from this point to this point, when you measure, you find out that to the waist point you could have between 19 and 20 inches. So why is 20 inches? It's because of the half inch allowance. You have between like 20 inches here. So from this point now, this is where you now measure out. From this point, you now measure out your hip measurement. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I just hope you do. So if not, if you do it like this, you get your measurement. Your gown will be perfect. That's the fitting will be perfect. So from this point now, I'm just going to start measuring now. So I'm just going to leave this on the side. It will just be there, and then I'll start imputing my measurement. So my new waist measurement, now you know initially this was what you measured for your waist measurement. That's like for your half bodice measurement. So now you are going to be measuring this point now, which is very important for this gown. So you measure this point. So the measurement that I have now for my new waist measurement is 32 inches. So when you divide 32 into 4, I have 8 inches. So I'm just going to come to this point like this, and then I'll add my 8 inches and I'll add my 8 inches. So this is like my 8 inches, and then you remember this allowance, that this 2 inch that I removed from here, I'm going to be adding it because I will still dart it out from this point. I will make 2 inch dart here. So I'll add the 2 inches to it. So I have like 10 inches here, and then my regular 2 inches allowance. So I hope you understand what I'm saying. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to be making my curve from this point. So this is my new waist measurement. So I'll be making my curve now from this point now. So you could see what I have. I'm just going to be extending it because I want you to really understand what I mean. So I'm just going to be coming like this. So you could see what I have, because when you join, when you connect these two together, this measurement, this waist measurement actually extends. So it extends to this point. It actually extends from this point to this point. So before you now start measuring out your waist, your hip measurement. And for this, my hip measurement is 40 inches. So when you put your tape like this, so this is 40 inches. When you divide 40 into 4, you have 10 inches. So I'm just going to use 2 inches, which is the remaining part of my pattern paper. But I advise you add like between 3 and 4 inch allowance to it. So I'm just going to start making my curve from this point. Now that's my hip curve now. I'm just going to start making it. So I'm just making my hip curve now. So this is like my hip curve, and then this is my waistline, extension of my waistline. So before I continue, I'm just going to, between your waist and your hip measurement is actually 9 inches. It's usually 9 inches. So this is like my 9 inches, which is for my hip measurement. And then you measure from your shoulder line to your knee measurement. So this is like my knee measurement. I was actually supposed to explain that, but I forgot. So this is like from your shoulder, that's from this point now, shoulder measurement to your knee measurement. So this is the knee measurement, and then this is your hemline, which is the down part of my blouse, of my gown, which is 53 inches. So that's just it. So this is it. So the next thing I'm going to do now, so this is my full gown measurement. So the next thing for the knee part of this tail gown, what I'm going to do now, you measure the knee. So it depends on how wide and slim you actually want the knee to be. So I'm just going to measure the knee measurement. So I'm just going to use 9 inches for my knee. So I'll make a slant from this point now. After getting my hip measurement, I'm just going to slant it to the knee point like this, so you could see what I have. So the next thing I'm going to do now, make the flare at the down part of, and for this, since this is a pattern draft, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to be making use of my entire measurement, what I actually have here. I have 12 inch. I'm going to make use of the entire 12 inch because I'm still going to be slitting open the front from the dark line. I'll slit it open and then add a gorget to the front, just a little piece of it to the front part. So I'm just going to connect like this now. So this is, you could see my gown. So if you want an A-line gown, you could just normal A-line fish gown. So this is it. So you could actually stop it here, and then you will still get your gown right. So I'll just cut it out now before I continue. So with this piece now, I'll just place it on another pattern paper, and then I'll leave a 2-inch allowance on the side for my zipper allowance. So this will now be the back. This will now be the back piece of my gown. So I'm just going to, it's just the same thing. You just cut out the same, but add 2-inch allowance on this side. So I'm just going to leave this first and then continue and do the slit on the front. So for the slit, I'm coming to the knee point. So I'll just open up my pattern paper like this. I'll open it up because I'm going to be slitting it open. So it depends on how high you want it to be. You could decide to make it to be on your knee point, or you could decide to go up by between 1 or 2 inch measurement. So it depends. So this is the center part of my pattern paper because I have the line here already, the folded line. So I know it's the top point. So I'm going to come in by 2 inch. That's to the top part of the knee by 2 inch. So this is where I'm going to be cutting. So I'm just going to, you could do this in 2 ways. You could decide to just put a straight slit, or you could decide to cut out some inch from it. So I think I'm just going to cut out half an inch from it. So I'm just going to come to this point like this, and then I'll measure half an inch point. So this is like my half an inch. So in doing this, you have to really be careful. So this is like my half an inch point. So it's coming like this, and then that's from the top point. And then when I get to this down point, I'll use 1 inch. I'll use 1 inch. That's if you want it to be wide. So the next time, I'm just going to make a slant from that point to this point, and then I'll mark it like this. So you can see what I have. You can see when it gets to that 2-inch point, this is the 2-inch point. So I came in by 2 inch. That's from this point now. I came in by 2 inch. That's from the knee line. I came in by 2 inch and then stopped it here. So I'm just going to be cutting it out. Like I said, you could decide to just put a mark here, as in you could just decide to open it without removing anything. It will still be okay. So I'm just going to cut out now. So guys, you could see what I have. So the slit is just out so perfectly well. So you could decide to leave it like this for your gown. You could decide to leave it like this, or you could decide to add triangles. Remember from the last gown that we did, you could decide to add more triangles to make the down part of your gown to make it fuller. So in adding my triangle, I'm just going to get a new pattern paper and then measure out how much length do I actually have here. How much length do I have here? So this is like 19 inches. So I'm just going to take it like this. So it depends on how actually wide I want it to be. So I will measure from this point, so you could see what I'm doing. I'm just slanting it out like this. How wide I want the triangles to be. That's the gorget. So this is like 8 plus 8 inches, which is 16 inches because it's into 2. So you're going to be adding one to one side and then adding the other one to the other side. So I'm just going to bring it like this and then leave allowance at the down. So you could set some allowance here and then another allowance up here. So I'm just going to mark it out. I'll rule it out. So that's just basically how simple it is. I'll just cut it out and then attach to the side of my gown. So you indicate and know that this is the center. So this is like the center and then this is the center and then this is the side. So because this side is not going to be joined together, so it's separated. So I'm just going to place it out properly. And then I'll take it, you know that this is the center and then it's going to be coming like this. So you could see what I have. So I'm just going to be attaching it. So I'll use so I'll attach it like this. So you'll be attaching it like this. So it comes and then I'll attach it. So I'll just do that and then show you what I'm doing. So welcome back, guys. So you could see I finished stapling the triangles to it. So all you have to do is just staple it. This was the center side. That was what I indicated. So you just join it to this point and then join the other one to that point. So you could see. So this is how the front part of the gown is. So and then I'm just going to open this up and then so this is the top part. So I've added the darts, like the extension of the dart that I talked about. So I just cut it out. So that's just it. So this is it. So for the back piece, all you have to do, like I showed you earlier on, you just place this pattern on the back and then cut out the back piece with your allowance, the zipper allowance, like I showed you. And then for the triangles, all you have to do is just you extend your triangles. As you add like 5 inch to your triangles. So your triangles you just add to it, and then that gives the back piece a tail. So that's just basically how you do that. So if you have any question, just drop your question. I'll answer you on the comment section. So thank you so much.